is a hot topic in both the job and art space, but it also makes Resident Evil bad. Like when they keep dying or wasting ammo on basic enemies right before a boss. So we got in Resident Evil 4 with Ashley getting grabbed by enemies so many times, and Sheva wasting ammo in Resident Evil 5. And everything in Resident Evil 6 sucked. Mostly the AI was okay, but we'll talk about that more later. So what really is the worst way AI is getting used? It's not jobs or arts getting stolen, it's Resident Evil. I mean, so what if people lose their jobs? It's bad that AI is being forced into jobs in a lot of ways, and if you lost your job or art stolen from AI, go to AIsucks.com. So, like I said in the intro, Resident Evil AI sucks with it wasting resources. But let's go more into depth. So, let's start with the first Resident Evil AI, or when it was most prevalent. It all started in 1999. Resident Evil 4 started getting made. At first, Resident Evil 4 was meant to be a horror game, with Leon not even being talked about. The original story was going to be a guy named Tony, who was like Wesker, where over the game he would learn he was the son of Spencer, the founder of Umbrella. So no AI partner there, but then Resident Evil 4 had a huge overhaul in 2001, where now Leon was going to have a team on in the end product where he's a solo mission because the cops died, where he and his team would go into a castle that Spencer owned and was one of Umbrella's main bases after they lost their base in Raccoon City, where he would then get infected, unknown how, but he would, and have to find a cure. And while looking for a cure, he meets a girl who was experimented on, leading to what was going to be the first AI main sidekick. But then in 2003, Resident Evil 4 got a new director again and got the story we know today. So the first time Resident Evil 4 was getting made, there was no Ashley or AI or even Leon. But then we must ask why Ashley's so bad. Because it's a rescue mission, so that's why they made her super annoying. Which, as much as I hate AI, Ashley was made to be like that, so I guess I can't complain as much as I already do. But that can't be said for the next AI. So Resident Evil 4 is a hit, and Capcom's working on a new game, Resident Evil 5, that will have an AI partner that can help you get some of the stress of killing all the enemies off. So Sheva or Chris, if you're on New Game Plus, were made to help, but they also looked too much at co-op and forgot to make the AI good. So the AI only has one job: kill everything it sees, even if you want to save ammo for the boss. And then come the boss, the AI's out of ammo or getting hit and dying from getting hit by so many common enemies it could have avoided. Now Resident Evil 5 was always going to be so co-op forced. Well, to know why, we have to go back to 2007, where originally Chris was going to be alone with no AI. Just like how Resident Evil 4 was meant to be a horror-based game and no AI partner. And similar, Resident Evil 5 was also going to be a horror game, with Chris in a dark village still in Africa, kind of like Resident Evil Village, but in Africa. Plus, the T-Virus was going to come back with more mutated fast zombies, kind of like Ganados, but in zombie form. Or a different draft would have basically been like the DLC with Chris and Jill, but longer and being the main game. But Jill was going to die for real in the draft, before the draft that was made in 2008. So a new draft comes with co-op. Not too much is different from the final story, but if you want some key points, Sheva would still be your co-op player, but she's not from the BSAA. And then finally, there are more two-player puzzles. Now, I know that Resident Evil 5 basically already has two-player puzzles, but more. With some story mixed in, Jill was now just brainwashed like in the final. But the final boss would just be the Resident Evil way, a tyrant, before that draft changed to what we have now, a new virus, and Wesker is the final boss, where it is today now, with the AI being used. But now we see a pattern where the game is going to be single player, then turn co-op. Now, why is that? But before we get to that, we have to talk about the game that left on a mark on Resident Evil games forever. So Resident Evil 6 may be the worst game in most people's eyes, but unlike the last two, Resident Evil 6 was mostly the same with no huge changes in the draft. They wanted co-op and wanted to bring new and old characters to bring back the vibe of Raccoon City, plus new people, even though they didn't do it that well. But at least they had the idea and they stuck with it, even if the final game should have gone through a few more drafts. But at least the AI was a little better. Now that they had heard how much people hated the Resident Evil 5 AI, they made it not as hard to deal with the AI. So you don't have to heal the AI as much, and it basically has infinite ammo, making the AI a lot more bearable compared to the last 2 games. But now that we know how the AI in the mainline games came to be, let's talk about what they did so differently that made them stick out from a bunch of other games in a not so good way. So why did Resident Evil have the AI but do it so bad? I mean, like other games before that, they had really good AI, like the older Halo games. The AI for the first time was really good for the time, with some newer games like the Alien VR game, Alien Invasion I think it's called, where the AI remembers where you hide and can stock a puzzle room that you haven't gone to and need to go to, along with 3 cones of vision that it uses to see the player from far, close, and one other that I didn't put in my script for some reason. But what did Resident Evil do so differently that made their AI so much worse from games during the time, especially like Halo? So Ashley was an AI that was, made to be helped. So she may not be popular, but I guess we'll technically have to let it slide by technicality. But then we get to Resident Evil 5, and the AI either shoots everything or just dies. Or when it comes to the AI in Resident Evil 5 specifically, it's going to take out any enemy it sees, or and then it's going to have no ammo for the boss fight, or it's not going to, and then it's just going to get hit by every boss. But I have some good news, guys. Resident Evil 6 finally did something good for once in its whole span. So, Resident Evil 6 finally unearthed the most common AI feature, infinite ammo. Now, I'm sure you still need to heal them from time to time, but the AI has finally got up to normal standards at the time. So, Resident Evil AI has gone to a lot of work that has made it change a lot over the years, from Ashley to RE5 to the one thing Resident Evil 6 did good. But that leads us to the end of the video. So to summarize, Resident Evil has changed a lot, mostly leaving AI partners behind other than in certain missions, but mostly all AI behind except for enemies. And I mean, in the newest Resident Evil games, the enemy AI has gotten pretty good. For partner AI, Resident Evil 6 did the best out of 4, 5, and 6. The only thing Resident Evil 6 can say it did the best. Well, I hope you liked this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. And also, I hope you enjoy the next 2-week period where I procrastinate to write a script.